Hey, what's up, guys? Here on the Fire Sports Pod, where everything we got is hot. I'm your host, Zach Jackson. Here with us is our co host, Irv, back at it again with another episode. We are powered by StreamYard, where StreamYard makes the dream yard go. And this is season 7, episode 18 on the Fire Sports Pod. So, if you guys haven't noticed already, if you guys are keeping track with the show, we did not do a show on Wednesday, and that is because we have made a decision, a business decision, that we're going to keep it to 2 shows per week. Just
Mhm.
easier to get you guys some clips from the show, so you guys are not looking at it, or some breaking news that we might have went over in the week of a show and not have it posted the following week. It just also gives me more time to punch out clips, more content, and stuff like that. So we'll be having a show Monday for Recap Monday and Fridays. Those will be the 2 shows a day. No more Wednesday shows. If something big happens, like a game or whatever, maybe me and Irv get together for the playoffs, and maybe we go live and do some commentating while the game's going. But other than that, Wednesday's kind of just a day to just get some clips in and all that stuff. So, with that being said, let's get into this podcast we got today. We're going to be going over our March Madness picks for this coming Final Four tonight for the women's bracket, as well as the men's bracket tomorrow night, which is going to be one hell of a day. So we're going to be going over those, and then finally we're going to do some NBA seedings right now. If the playoffs are like going to start in about 6 games, so 6 games, 6 to 7 games left in the NBA season, we'll see where the playoffs are looking right now. And we get really Irv's takes, because the last time he wasn't here when we did this. Get Irv's takes on what could potentially happen if some teams meet up in the playoffs. So let's get right into it. So we're going to share our screen, guys. I'll flip the screen for here for TikTok Live so you guys can check out what we're going over. If you guys are into the college basketball, you kind of know what the hell is happening here. But just so if anybody's not familiar with the college basketball, didn't do a bracket, here is our bracket that me and Irv basically did together. And that shows that we have Duke and Houston happening tomorrow at 8:49 p.m. Eastern time, as well as Florida versus Auburn at 6:09 p.m. Eastern time. Again, guys, we picked Michigan State to beat Auburn. Auburn was the better team. They showed it.
Mhm.
It just, again, Michigan State had another lackluster first half. They've had that throughout the entire tournament. They've had some very slow starts in the first half, and that was really been their downfall. But finally, Auburn answers the call. They get the job done. They advance to play Florida. Now, the only thing that Irv that scares me about this when it comes to Florida, right, is because
Mhm.
Auburn already got beaten by Florida in this season. That's where I'm thinking there's a possibility. I'm still going Gators all the way, but there's a possibility that Auburn can get the job done against Florida, because they've seen and they've already played against Florida, and they could be prepared. And Auburn's coach is one hell of a head coach, and he's going to be ready
Yeah.
to double best player coming off ball screens, pick and rolls, and all that stuff, so he doesn't get open. What's it called? If I'm not mistaken, Texas Tech tried that, but then forgot about it in the last 4 minutes of the game, where Florida came back and beat them. So
Mhm.
where um where do you think, do you still got confidence in the Gators to get the job done? I know I do, but again, there's another part where Auburn does still have a chance, because they've already played against Florida.
Yeah. Just to add though to that Michigan State game, I think I could agree with you on that. Throughout the whole tournament, they have always struggled in the first half of the games that they have played. But because these are against teams that that where they were obviously the bigger favorites, they came back. But clearly against Auburn, Auburn being a top seed in their conference, it just didn't work out that way. Had a lackluster first half, and then it would probably was going to be the same routine. But I feel like Auburn and the coach of Auburn picked it up from there and just shut down Michigan State from there. So that was a good victory for them. I'm still going with the Gators though. I just think or I mean we have to pick Gators because that's what we picked. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, exactly. But I mean,
It's going to be very scary. It's going to be a very good matchup. I think. Auburn and Auburn's coach is really good. Their team all around are good, but I think I got Florida taking this, bro. I'm sticking with our pick. I'm sticking with Florida to take out Auburn.
all right, same here, same here. At least we're on the same boat there. Now, Duke and Houston's an interesting matchup. I know a couple people said I have Florida winning my bracket, but I think Auburn wins tomorrow. Auburn lost, and Florida didn't even have Elijah Martin. That is true. Bloody Vega 35. He said that. Duke and Houston is an interesting matchup, and you might ask why. Why am I saying it's an interesting matchup? You have the number one offense probably in all of March Madness in Duke, and you got the number one defense in all of March Madness in Houston, potentially. And it's the number ones versus the number ones. Cooper Flag is having one unbelievable season. Probably if he wins and caps it off winning a championship, he might be as already put. He could be the greatest Duke player of all time, to potentially
Wow,
having the
that's
thing
a
coming.
lot to say though.
Yeah, but having the stamina to come from high school and all that, all the recruits and all that stuff, and then to cap it off with the championship, and they've been beating teams by over 19 points a game. So I think it's on an average. I think 18 or 19 they've been winning throughout this tournament. And if let's say he decides to come back for another year, which I don't think is going to happen, just the money and just the where the hype is. You never know what happens next year. Hurt, have bad season, your draft stock. His draft stock can't go anywhere higher than what it is now.
Mhm.
But then you have the AJ DeBancis who's coming in next year at BYU, and that could be
Boozer
something.
twins
Yeah, the Boozer
as
twins as
well.
well with Duke, and that could be another powerhouse. Add that as he comes back. I think for college basketball, it would be great to have a top star like Cooper Flag come back for another year. I think for college basketball and the NIL thing with the portal, with the transfer, with going a one and done, I think that would help out college basketball big time if Cooper Flag came back. But I don't see it. You got the Boozer twins coming in next year. I think they're going to run the show. You got AJ DeBancis coming in for BYU. I think it's their time. I think Cooper Flag probably would just go to the NBA. He's a lock for the number one pick. There's nobody else going to be number one other than Cooper Flag. And if he caps off with the championship for Duke, then I mean, I don't know how you don't pick him at number one. Now Houston's interesting. Like I said for both Auburn and Houston, don't be surprised if it's a closer game than a lot of people think. Don't be surprised if they could get the upset wins. Because right now, obviously, the main pick most of the people are saying is Florida and Duke in the championship, and either Duke or Florida wins. There's a couple people that are picking Houston to win it all. There's a couple people picking Auburn. They both have legitimate chances to beat Duke and Florida. Houston, I think, has a little bit better chance than Auburn just because of their defense and how they play as a team, and they're very skilled. So I'm still sticking with Duke, of course, but I think Houston's going to give Duke a run for their money, and they're going to need a masterclass game out of Cooper Flag to get the job done over Houston. So that's my thing. What's your take on that, Irv?
Well, in basketball, they say, or I think in any sport, that defense wins championships. And potentially Houston is the number one defense in this tournament so far, going up against Cooper Flag, who's the number one player in this tournament, and Duke, who has probably arguably maybe the number one offense. I don't know if I should give that to Florida or Duke, but let's just say it's number one offense, number one defense. There could be an upset here, but I mean we've said that multiple times with all the like with Alabama. We said it was the same thing, an upset, and Duke handled business there.
Yep.
We also said the same thing for the other opponents that Duke has faced, and I'm still sticking with Duke. I think Cooper Flag will cap it off with a win into the championship round. I know we picked Florida, but at the same time, Duke. I'm not surprised with Duke will win. I mean, they're
Yeah.
just that talented. They're talented all
I
around.
mean, we were going back and forth with that when we were trying to pick
Exactly.
that. We were
Exactly.
going back
Yeah.
and forth for like 10 minutes trying to say, all right, we picked Florida, we picked Duke, and we decided to go with Florida. But Duke is no sleeper, not even close.
No, yeah, they're not no underdogs, they're not no nothing. They're probably at the same level as Florida.
Yeah.
But I have them taking over Houston, but when we have the podcast episode when we're going to talk about the championship round, it's going to be one hell of an episode because it's really just balanced out. Like no team is better than the other. They're both equally as good.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So now we're going to be moving on. So as we know, we're taking Florida, we're taking Duke to advance to the championship. That championship game will be on April 7th, that Monday, which will be our podcast. So you guys can definitely check that out. If you guys are new to the live, don't forget to drop a follow as well as a like and share. Trying to get to 1,000 followers, hopefully by the end of this month. And that will be a good milestone for the starters after being banned after 2,000 followers, coming back in a couple months and getting to that 1,000 mark. That would be pretty crazy. Appreciate the follow, Watermelon. Appreciate it. So let's move on. Score prediction for what? Before we move on, score prediction for what? The games or the championship? The championship's 167, but for the games,
Yeah,
what do you?
like we have a combined score of total points of 167 for the
Florida and
final.
Duke, we have a total combined score of 167. That's the total points. That's what they asked. Are you asking for the actual score, or are you just asking for the total points? But as I answer that question, we'll be moving on to the next thing, and that's going to be going over the women's side of things. Obviously, a lot of people are really think, but I like the women's. I like the tournament, the March Madness, Paige Beckers. I wish Juju Watkins was available last matchup against UConn
Yeah,
in the previous round. What do you think the score will be? That's his question. Well, to equal 167. I mean, you do the math; it's got to be a real high-scoring game to equal that 167 mark. But I think it's going to be in the 70s. I don't know. What's your take on that, Irv? When it
I
comes to
mean,
this,
for it to be 167, it would have to be like seven. It has to be past 70, or it could be because it's not going to be a blowout win for sure.
no, I don't think so.
It's not going to be a blowout
Thanks,
win.
Vegas. Appreciate the follow. I think it's going to
So
be. I would say probably we're in. I would say it's probably going to have to. It's going to be higher than 70s. So I think it's gonna be probably like
maybe
uh,
74 to 73.
yeah, but that would equal only like 149. So it's got to be higher than that. But we saw against Alabama and the other game it was 100 to 93. That's 193 points. I don't think it's going to be that high. I'd say probably if I'm going on a limb here, I'm probably going to go 86 82. I think that equals does that equal? I don't know.
No,
160 86 82. Yeah, that equals 168. So it's about the round there. I would say about round there. 85, 82 if you're being exact. So I would say right there. Yeah, this is the women's bracket. I did my own bracket, but it's on a separate account. This is just the ESPN, just going over it. My picks. If you guys are in the nice. I'm a Florida fan, so I'm hoping we win it. Why is UConn a 7.5 point favorite? Seems large. Over UCLA, it's not because UConn is going to win. I have them covering that. I would have them covering -7. I think UConn. There's no one stopping UConn. This is UConn's year to lose it. This is basically their tournament to lose. They should win this tournament with ease. Obviously, we know South Carolina and Texas on the other side. I got UConn winning it all. There's nobody. I had I did two brackets. One that I actually cared about. The other one I just did whatever. The other one was Juju Watkins and USC, but obviously we know she tore her ACL, and that was pretty much it. Who you got winning? I got, like I said, UConn winning it all. UCLA versus UConn is going to be a hell of a matchup, but I got UConn probably winning by over 7. I just think they pull away in the second half. Paige Beckers is going to have one unbelievable game yet again. South Carolina's Texas. You guys might think I'm crazy, but South Carolina is favored by -5.5. I think Texas is pissed, man. I like Texas in this game. I think the Texans.
I was just gonna say that.
I think the Texas is going to win. South Carolina is dominant, but they're not as dominant as they were in the past. They don't have that main scorer. They don't have that go get it bucket getter that they've had in recent years. They have a full team, that's for damn sure. They have depth, they have size, but I just think that Texas has everything. They have that number one girl, and I think they're going to beat South Carolina. I think it's going to be number 2 UConn versus number 1 Texas in the championship game, where I will eventually have UConn. I'm going to just say it right out, flat out now. UConn is winning the championship and is coming home yet again as the tops of the tops. So that's pretty much it. And then Paige Beckers caps off her 4-year career with UConn with a championship, and goes and gets drafted to the WNBA. And that's how I got it. Sports Talk with Aiden. What's up, my guy? How you doing? Again, guys, if you're new to the chat, don't forget to drop a follow, as well as a like and a share. Appreciate that. So, Irv, I don't know if you've been following the women's, but if you were, just give me your thoughts on what do you think of my picks, and if you have anything to say on them.
I mean, I like Page Buckets. I like UConn. I feel like they're the only non number one seeder. That's probably the best form out of all the 4 teams that are there in the Final Four. I think they're probably like the best. I agree with you. The only I don't think it's a sign of struggle, but I know that I think the center name is Betts. I think her name is the center for UCLA.
I'm
I think her name's something Betts. I'm not too sure, but she had a pretty dominant game. I was watching a little bit of the end when I went to go somewhere, and they had the game live streaming and everything, and she seemed really good. She I think in the tournament she averages a double, close to like 20 points and like I think 9 or 10 rebounds. So that's probably the only thing that UCLA could counter with. I know they have probably two other people, but to be honest, I just think Paige Buckets is just gonna dominate them. I mean, she's been performing really good. Like I said, UConn has been in the best form for being the number 2 seed. So I definitely got them over UCLA. South Carolina. Now I was gonna say that when it comes the only kind of losses that they had during the regular season, I knew it was against UCLA, UConn, and Texas. Am I correct? I'm
I
not.
believe so. If I'm not mistaken, I know UConn and UCLA they've beaten. I'm not.
I
Um,
think they lost to Texas once, but they beat Texas twice, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like 2-1 in the series. So I think this is a good matchup for them. Do I'll probably take South Carolina, because I know they have that one guard. I'm not too sure. I don't know her name, but
mm,
same class as Juju Watkins. So I think South Carolina beats Texas, and then if we're talking about finals, I mean, I'm sticking with UConn. I think Paige Buckets, again, really good basketball player. She might be a top 3 pick in the WNBA draft. Um, and yeah, so I'm picking UConn to win the whole thing.
all right, so you have South Carolina beating Texas. We both got
Yeah,
winning the championship.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Paige Beckers is gonna have one hell of a last 2 games. So we'll see how well it goes. But yeah, now we're gonna um move our thoughts to going into the NBA and what we could be expecting come playoff time because my God, the playoffs are looking pretty crazy right now. I mean, just to look at what happened yesterday with the Warriors and the Lakers, what a game it was. It was a
Hmm.
very slow game for both stars, for Steph and LeBron in the first half. And then second half, they clicked the switch and they went off, both of them. 37 for Curry, 33 for LeBron. Um, so this is where the standings look like for the NBA playoffs right now. If you
Are
guys
you
can,
gonna, my fault? Are you gonna include play in, or you're just gonna do it how it is now?
no, I'm gonna do it how it is now because the plan
Okay.
right now, I would say, I'll tell you guys, I'm having the Clippers come out of that as the 8th seed. I got the Timberwolves coming out as the 7th seed, and then I got the Hawks winning their games and getting out with the 8th seed, and then I have the Magic. I think the Bulls play the Hawks to get to that number 1 seed against the Cleveland Cavs, but I think I have the Hawks beating the Bulls. I think the Bulls next year will be better than they were this year. I
I
think
mean,
what
they've been playing really good though.
yeah,
They've been
but I
in good
like the
form.
Hawks. Trey Young's not going home in the play-in. I'm sorry. Trey Young is what they are. He's been beating some pretty good teams by himself, and I think they're
Hmm.
playing pretty well. So I like their way
And
they're
then
playing.
and then
And then
Heat versus Magic.
yeah, I'm taking the Magic. They got Paulo Banchero, and what even though Tyler Hero's playing unbelievable,
They're
and
not.
Bam
It's not the
Adebayo,
same.
they're not the same. And I think the
Yeah.
Magic with Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner, they've been hurt. They were hurt like 40 games this season or more. And I just
Mhm.
think that they were robbed of having a really good season this year. And I think next year they're not doing anything against the Celtics. I got Magic winning 1 game against the Celtics. But like I said, we're not going to go over Wolves are beating the Rockets. That I could definitely see. I like the Timberwolves. I think Anthony Edwards, I don't think he's going home in the first round. I think the Rockets are just too young,
I
man.
let me add to that. I just think the Rockets being the number 2 seed, I feel like they're gonna be another OKC, like how it was last season,
Yes, and
where
I
OKC
told
was
and
number
I don't know,
one.
we weren't together then, but when we were talking at the gym,
Hmm.
I did say I was like, you know what? I don't like OKC last year because they're just too young. They have no experience in those rounds, in the deep rounds, and playing in the playoffs. And
Yep.
same with the Timberwolves. They got all the way over there. They have that. They have that experience. The Rockets don't. Last year they came on late, strong. This year they've came out hot. They had a little bit of a slump mid-season, and now they're back on it. I think it's very similar to the OKC
Yeah.
last year. I think they'll be bounced in the first round because I just don't see it. As you could saw, the Lakers were able to beat them, come back in that game. And the Lakers, one of the tops. They play OKC plays Houston tonight, so we can really see if they're really about it. The number 1 versus the number 2 seed in the West.
Mhm.
Caden, appreciate the follow, but I really think that ultimately OKC will beat them tonight. I just don't think the Rockets are ready. So if I would say anything, I'm not. We're gonna have to do predictions, but dark horses, like I said, Timberwolves are a dark horse. Don't sleep on the Clippers, but I don't have the Clippers beating OKC in the first round. I'm sorry, that
Uh,
that's not
I,
gonna happen.
this is where I step in and I say that this was, might be an upset, only because, and I'm not saying this like as a crazy take, but I would not be surprised, only because the Clippers have the experience. If you have a healthy Kawhi Leonard, you have a James Harden that averages a double double during that series. Zubac, who's been perfect as well. He's been performing really well, learning how to use his feet, use his size. And then who else they have? They have Jones, who has that playoff experience, who's been to the finals twice already. He has that playoff experience. So, I mean, OKC, a phenomenal team. They're just a very young core. I think the oldest player that they have is Alex Caruso and or Hartenstein, and they're like in their like I don't think they're past 25. I think they're like
Now,
25,
Alex
26.
Caruso will be the oldest one, but the fact of the matter is, Alex Caruso has been to the finals. He knows how it is. I get what you're saying there.
Right,
But
right. So all I'm
If
saying
the
is like
Timberwolves upset the Rockets, I do not see the Clippers upsetting the Thunder. Now, if
I don't
roles
know.
were reversed, right? If
Hmm.
if the Timberwolves get the eighth seed and they
Hmm.
play OKC and the Clippers play the Rockets, then I can agree with you and I can see those two matchups and the
So
two.
you have the Wolves upsetting the Thunder if they were the eighth seed,
No, no,
but you
I'd
don't
say
have the.
no, no. Hold on. I would say they would have a shot. I would not still pick them. But I'm saying I could give you leeway if you were saying if the roles were reversed because Anthony Edwards has been there. They're playing really good basketball of late. Everyone's playing on all cylinders, even though OKC is playing great as well. I just think that the Thunder would have a lot more trouble with the Timberwolves than
Oh,
the Clippers. I'm
I
sorry.
don't. I don't think so. I
I
don't think
think
so.
so.
Because if you're talking about the Wolves, who else in the Wolves besides Anthony Edwards has been balling? Jaden McDaniels has been stepping up for the Wolves as of late.
Julius
Who,
Randle has been
bro,
playing pretty good of late.
but is he consistent?
Well, again, it's playoff basketball. If you're not
Uh-uh.
consistent, you're losing.
I would be more of a threat with James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and the form and the way that Zubac has been playing. I'd rather be more scared of that than Anthony Edwards, who's been balling like crazy, than what? Julius Randle and then Jaden McDaniels? Come on.
It's whatever you say, but I can tell you one thing. I'd say the Timberwolves would beat the Rockets, but I'm telling you the Thunder would beat the Clippers. I'm not
No,
picking
I'm definitely picking the Wolves to get an upset for the Rockets. I don't know how the Rockets made it up so high up. I mean, they have been the top five, even top three defense in the NBA consistently throughout the season. So defense wins championships, and then you also have Jalen Green, who's been stepping up to the plate. Sengun, who's been good as well. The one of the Thompson twins has been also balling as a great two-way athletic player.
Yep.
So I mean, the spot is well deserved, but do I think they could apply that to the playoffs? We're about to see. I
Next
mean, I
year.
don't think
Next year.
I, I don't think they've ever been ever since James Harden's left. I don't think the Rockets and that young core has never been this high in the playoffs
No,
before.
not even close. But I would say next year
Hmm.
they would be better next year. Very similar to OKC
Yeah,
this year. Um, so I would say if we were gonna pick dark horses, I would say not to sleep on the Clippers because you can't sleep on with Kawhi and James Harden. I just don't think they're gonna beat OKC. I would have OKC advancing. That Lakers Warriors matchup, I'm not even gonna comment on because I don't know if that's even gonna happen because the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Nuggets are like and this.
it's like a
This
game
dude, they're
between.
like a game between all three
Yeah,
of them. So I'm gonna wait to even say anything. But I would probably pick a Timberwolves to upset the Rockets, OKC to advance against the Clippers. If we're going to the next seed, Cavs are winning. The Hawks, they're sweeping them. Pacers, Bucks, I'm not going to comment on. Still very close in the standings. Knicks, Pistons, same thing. I don't know. But Celtics, Magic, Celtics are winning in 5.
Well, I mean, let's just comment on it now. Let's just see, like, if the
No,
playoffs
because
were to
I
end
don't.
right now.
But I don't know. I don't want to say anything because the Bucks against the Pacers have a better shot at beating. Like if the Knicks fall to the 4 seed, the Knicks are crushing the Bucks. But if the Pacers stay at the 4 seed, I would see that's going to be a 7-game series with the. But even without Dame, I think the Bucks have a shot to advance to the second round. But they're not going to go any farther than that because they don't have Damian Lillard and they're versus Cleveland. They needed to have They needed to have Dame to even have a shot against Cleveland, and I would still not give them a shot. But I think it just depends. And the Pistons, bro, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pistons get up to play the Pacers, their matchup against the Cavs would be interesting. If the Knicks are not fully healthy and Jalen Brunson is not fully healthy come playoff time, the Pistons could upset the Knicks, and that's a potential upset because I really like the Pistons in the way they're playing, and they don't just have Kate Cunningham; they have everybody playing all cylinders. Bickerstaff is a very great coach. They have he has that Pistons team playing unbelievable basketball. What a turnaround. The worst team in the league last year to the top 6 team in the East and one of the best defensive teams in the league. So I would definitely say that the Pistons are a sleeper. Don't sleep on them. And again, they're a team that could make the Celtics have trouble with defensively. Do I think the Pistons could beat the Celtics? No, not yet. They got to get some more talent in there. Kate Cunningham is really their only benefit scorer. Malik Beasley is stepping up massively, but he's not he's not a secondary guy. He's more like a third option. He's playing like that because he has to. The Knicks, I would have them going to play Boston to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. The problem is I don't know how Jalen Brunson is going to play. He's returning this coming Saturday. So we'll see how he is coming off that gruesome ankle injury against the Lakers that he had a couple weeks ago. So it's very interesting. The playoffs are going to be pretty crazy. I cannot wait. But again, like we said, dark horse for me, Wolves, Pistons. Those are the 2 top dark horses that I could see making an upset. Clippers don't want to forget about, and you also don't want to forget about the Bucks because the fact that he still got Giannis and he did something nobody has ever done in the history of basketball last night, having 35 points, 15 rebounds, and 20 assists in a game. That's ridiculous. And winning the game, not losing the game, because we've had some pretty 60-point outings by some pretty crazy people like Devin Booker, Damian Lillard, and they lose. Jokic had 61 in a triple-double, and they lost. So there's definitely going to be one crazy-ass playoffs this year. I think it's probably even going to be better than last year because you're going to have LeBron and Steph as the number 4, the number 5 series. And it's funny, after the fact, coming into this season, and you could tell me no, that I was the one that said that the Warriors and the Lakers were going to be in that 4 to 6 area when it comes to seeding. I remember I told you that probably like 15% into the year, even without.
This was actually after the playoffs. I mean, after the All-Star break we were talking
after
about.
The All-Star break. So halfway through the season, I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
We're rocking with the Lakers to go at least get the 4 seed, if not the worst, the 6 seed. And they're at the 4 seed right now, and they have potential to get to that 3 seed. If the Rockets keep losing, they could potentially get to the 2nd seed. I just don't want to make sure everyone knows that I'm not going to be biased when it comes to my picks. I'm going to you can legitimately make a case that the Lakers can make the Western Conference Finals, but you can also give a legitimately case that the Warriors can make the Western Conference Finals. Pretty much all these teams that could make it because they have mentality.
As a basketball fan, putting bias aside, the Lakers can make it to the finals.
Definitely.
They can because they have probably the smartest and best basketball players in today's game. The only problem is just their defense. They sacrificed a big defensive anchor in Anthony Davis, who was a two-way guy. He was a really good scorer when healthy. He was a terrific scorer, and he also protected the paint really well. Now, they got Luka, but we've seen Luka, especially last night, how lackluster he can be. Defensively, how slow he is on his feet. We saw that when he's not hitting shots, the Lakers are not winning the game. But it could go the same way for the Warriors. Now, I was talking to Zach this before the stream started. Pajemski had 8 threes. 8. And I'm telling you this now, I am a Warriors fan. And I could tell you right now, that was lucky. And that's just one of those games where we were just on one. And it's no bias, no nothing. For Pods to have 8 threes, the man only makes like 2 threes a game. He shoots 36%. Not bad. That's not bad. But for him to hit 80% in threes, he went 8 for 10. All I'm going to say is that both of these teams could beat each other. It just depends on how the players are playing. It just depends on if Pods is making threes or he's missing threes. Because I've seen him only score like 8 points one game. And he was just terrible. I was watching. I was in Cleveland. Ohio with my family who are Cavs fans and are Warrior haters. And we were sitting on the couch. They were versing the Phoenix Suns. And we saw when Pajemski brought up the ball and he just kept doing terrible, terrible moves, airballing, breaking it horrendously. And then while on defense, he was getting torched by Allen. I don't know.
Jared Allen?
Huh?
Jared Allen?
No, not Jared Allen from Phoenix.
Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen. He was getting torched by Grayson Allen defensively. So it's just a matter about, and also, but you can't count out LeBron. LeBron against us, he's terrific. No doubt about it. He probably averages career. He averages like probably 30 something points against the Warriors. But it's all about if his partner Luka Doncic could actually ball out and perform. Austin Reeves has been up there too. Austin Reeves has been balling as well. He's been their number one 3-point shooter without a doubt. He's been balling.
No. Yeah.
But then now that we include Jimmy Butler as well, that's going to be a really good matchup. Playoff Jimmy is not something that you can sleep on. For sure. 100%.
We got some big comments in here in the chat here.
Okay,
so
go
first
ahead.
up, we had JB Stover said, Bull take Thunder, win the finals, and won't see a game 7. I don't think so.
No.
But that it's possible, but I don't think so. Zeke said to JB Stover, Lakers and Thunder are going to be the Western Conference Finals, and Lakers will take them to 7 games. If the Lakers are the 4th and the 5th seed, they won't meet in the Western Conference. That is true. They'll meet in the semifinals. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Playoff Luka and LeBron is either going to be a big disappointment or crazy.
And that brings up my point. I don't mean to interrupt, but that brings up my point from last night's game. LeBron performed crazy, but then Luka didn't perform good at all.
But Zeke said Luka took Kyrie and the Mavs to the finals last year. Imagine what he could do with LeBron and the Lakers.
Exactly.
Okay? Luka and LeBron may go crazy, but the lack of post play could hurt the Lakers in a 7-game series, which is also true.
Yeah.
Very, very good stuff, Chad. Very good stuff. I appreciate the comments here. Very, very good stuff. And all, if not most, of the comments that just were read out were true. Especially when it comes to the post game. That post play is going to hurt us. We got to be able to really get Jackson Hayes into it. And we got to be able to play with multiple bigs that we have. We have other bigs. We just have to trust them. And the problem is that they just can't be trusted as much because they haven't played as much. But other than that, guys, that would be pretty much it for the show here on the Fire Sports Pod, where everything we got is hot. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll have another one on a Recap Monday going over what's happening in the championship game for March Madness. This is Season 7, Episode 18 on the Fire Sports Pod. We are powered by StreamYard, where StreamYard makes the dream yard go. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend, and catch you guys later. Peace.